Welcome to episode 430 of the DFO Rundown, brought to you as always by Bet365. It's never ordinary. Get in the game at Bet365. Use the promo code NATION, NATION, on a bevy of games. You got NHL, you got NBA, NFL playoffs are right around the corner, all the bowl games. Get on the action at Bet365. Happy New Year to all of our listeners. Happy New Year. Rupper, how you doing, my man?
I'm good. Happy New Year to you and everybody else as well.
Did you do anything for New Year's?
Just kind of hung low. It was good. It was good. I was a little under the weather. I don't know if you can hear it in the voice a little bit, but last couple of days, just been kind of hanging low, and it's actually been pretty perfect. Just been sitting around enjoying, just kind of leftover food and just laying around. It's been perfect.
Yeah, I was never a huge New Year's guy. I ended up just going, my wife was sick, so I just went across the street to neighbor's house, and the kids played mini sticks and video games, and parents just kind of chatted. So it was nice, low key. I was like, God, I don't want to make it I haven't been up till midnight in a long time on New Year's, but my son's 12 now and they wanted to do it. So God, I think 12:05, I'm like, okay, I'm going home.
You're like, time for bed.
Yeah. So, brutal, but, did a lot of shoveling. It's been snowing a lot here. So nothing like Buffalo for Buffalo fans. And hey, we're going to get to the Red Hot Sabres in a bit, but let's start out with the big news. Of course, the Olympic rosters being announced. We're recording this, of course, Friday morning. Team USA roster was officially unveiled today, Rupper. And, I've been doing Canada, you've been in USA here for the last few months, kind of our projections. So now that you see the final roster, what's your thoughts on like Jason Robertson and why he's not there?
So, was this my final? This is my final roster.
That's the final roster. That's the actual.
This is the actual roster. Yeah, because I had Clayton Keller in there at the beginning, and I kind of phased him out of there. So, I like it. I think that there's a little bit of a surprise. You mentioned the Jason Robertson. That's one that's going to get a lot of notoriety as far as being a snub. I thought maybe Vinny Trocheck would not be here, although Mike Sullivan and the influence, obviously, for the Rangers that are on this coaching staff and assistant GM role, you can understand why maybe they were pushing hard for him to get there. But yeah, Jason Robertson, he's been hot, man. He's been on fire. I just think that, remember when we talked about it before, Billy Guerin coming out and saying that he's basically not picking an all-star team, and your numbers might be great, but that might not mean that you're on the team. And I think that this falls under that category. Maybe that was his way of kind of getting out in front of that, where they've got players they probably feel like can cover areas that Jason Robertson can. And Jason Robertson's not a player that's maybe going to be able to be moved around your lineup in different roles, different positions. So I don't know, but that's going to be the one that gets a lot of attention. Then obviously on the back end, no Adam Fox is going to get a lot of noise, because I think the big part of that is also speaking on Mike Sullivan and being the head coach of New York Rangers. So there's going to be some managing of that relationship, I believe, moving forward. Because as much as we said, maybe that's how Vinny Trocheck got on the team, you could be like, oh, well, why is Adam Fox not one of the 8? But I just think that when you're looking at Seth Jones and what he's done since he got to the Florida Panthers, he's gotten back to that high level of Seth Jones hockey that we've seen. That's the one guy that jumps in here that I don't want to say it was surprising, but they're very happy from Four Nations with their decor. And I think adding Seth Jones, they feel very comfortable with that. So yeah, I don't know, a couple snubs. Every country is going to have their snubs, and that's Team USA's.
Well, you look at the back end. Remember, Quentin Hughes didn't play for Nation, so him and Seth Jones are really the two additions I would look at on the back end, because you only had 7 defensemen on those teams, and now you have 8. Yeah. But Hughes didn't come, so I think bringing Hughes and Jones is big. So it's basically those two are in. Tage Thompson, Clayton Keller are in from the Four Nations, and Adam Fox and Kreider are the two guys out. Really not a lot of changes from their Four Nations team. The same goalies in Hellebuck, Ottinger, and Swayman. So, Team Canada had more changes and they won than Team USA did. And that's kind of interesting. A lot of people are looking at Robertson, and then there's Cole Caulfield. Like, there's always going to be some guys who don't make it. But I think Tage Thompson, that's a smart move by them. Big, fast, can shoot the puck. Like, laser. I think the fact that how he played at the Worlds for Team USA helped them a little bit, although I'm not sure I'd put that much stock into it. It's the Worlds, and there's not a lot of the best players there. But, the Kachucks and Eichel, Kyle Connor, Trocheck and Larkin, Hughes, Boldy, Keller, Matthews, Thompson, Gensel, Miller, and Brock Nelson. And then, of course, there's, guys who will stay on the list because, we're still the first game is February 11th. And so we do the math in our head, Rupper. That's still 40 days, which there's lots of time, unfortunately, for somebody on this team and on any team to get banged up. But, USA, I see a lot of people, did USA build their team to try to beat Team Canada? And I don't know if that's necessarily a bad strategy, Rupper, to be honest, because let's look at it realistically. Team USA, like, hey, could Finland or Sweden or Czechia beat them? Sure. But realistically, they probably feel like Canada's the team for us to beat, and they want to build a team that they think can beat Team Canada. Because it's not like Team Canada blew them out at the Four Nations in the final, right? If Matthews scores on one of his chances or Brady Tkachuk in overtime, they easily could have won that game.
Yeah, listen, I'm not making any excuses for Four Nations. I think the best team won. But I also think they like their team. They like how close they were. You mentioned if it's one of those opportunities that Austin Matthews has just prior to the winner by Connor, it's a different story. But you also have a lot of their star players didn't score in the whole tournament. So you had Austin Matthews, Jack Hughes, Jack Eichel. I don't think any of them had any goals in the tournament. So they feel confident with it. Going back to it. We'll see how it plays out. I don't feel. I know I want to talk so much shit to you, but I don't feel confident, man. I don't feel confident. They got some guys dinged up, and I'm like, I don't know how this team's gonna look, man. I'm kind of nervous, but hopefully I'll be happily entertained once that time rolls around.
Well, I look at Team Canada's roster, and we'll get to it quickly. And, the changes there, no surprise in goal, right? Montembeault and Hill aren't coming back. Thompson and Kemper return for Canada. Then you have on up front, basically, Marner, McDavid, Stone, Crosby, McKinnon, Reinhart, Marchand, Point, Cirelli, Hagel. They're all returning. The new guys are Celebrini, Wilson, Suzuki, and Horvat. And probably the biggest surprise is that Sam Bennett isn't on the team. Sam Bennett was huge in the Four Nations, played very well, and obviously was unreal for Florida at in the Stanley Cup. And in the month of December, he's played great. So that was the biggest surprise to me, that he wasn't on the team. I didn't think Jarvis was going to make it. I didn't think Konechny was going to make it. I thought Connor Bedard, when he got hurt, that shoulder injury, like, I know people, but he's skating. Yeah, but skating on a shoulder injury, like, he didn't even take a shot. Like, you're quite a ways away from playing. So he might be, let's say he gets to play right at the end of January. Team Canada has that much depth that they're not going to bring a guy who isn't 100%. They're just not. It doesn't make any sense for any team that has that much depth to do it. So I wasn't really surprised by Bedard. I didn't have him on my final roster, but I had Celebrini. That's a no-brainer. And I think I would start Celebrini with Braden Point and Connor McDavid. That would be the line I'd play him with. No question. McKinnon, Reinhart, and Crosby are going to be a line. Then you got Marner and Stone and other guys. They'll be in the bottom six. But I'm starting Macklin, Celebrini, Rupper in my top six. The kid's playing unreal in San Jose. And he thinks the game well enough. I see no reason not to try him starting out with Point and McDavid.
No, I love that. And he's going to be the one player. I mean, there's so many when you're talking about this roster. I mean, this is an exciting time for any nation that we're talking about their roster and what it's going to look like. But when I look at this Team Canada squad, Celebrini, I think can go from a player that probably we all thought was going to be there as the season has progressed. But now all of a sudden I'm thinking to myself, man, I don't think he just can get this experience. I think he could be a real difference maker for him. I really do believe that, especially if he's in a position like that, playing with that type of talent around him. So the back end, I know this one kind of, you brought it up, Thomas Harley having a rough season, but the fact that he's still there and he's back, the back end, they feel pretty confident in coming off the last tournament. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's something that we're going to be watching. I think both back ends, both teams, Team USA and Team Canada, were pretty confident in. That's why we're seeing them basically running it back in a lot of different ways. But the goaltending department, I think they got it bang on. This is the team to beat. I mean, it is. Team Canada is the team to beat in the Olympics here, and a pretty solid roster.
Yeah, well, they returned all 8 defensemen. I'll admit I'm surprised. Now I say 8, even though there was a 7-man roster, but due to injury, right? They called in Harley and he played. And, Drew Doughty, there were some people thought maybe he wouldn't come back, but they brought him back. And, Devon Taves said, hey, my wife's due with their 4th child on February 2nd or 3rd. And he says he isn't going over until, the baby's born. And if the baby's due on the 2nd of February, the tournament, Canada doesn't play until the 12th. Right. There's lots of time here. Like the doctors don't ever let a kid go a week late anyway. So if your due date's February 2nd, come on, the latest it's going to be is February 9th. And so I think they probably should be fine in that regard. And even if you had to miss a game, to be a dad, like, my God, let's get our priorities straight here. So I think that would take precedence. At least it would for me anyway. So, I love that Taves said, I don't even need to talk to him about it. Like dad first, man, 100%. I agree with that. But there's some people thought Schaefer and, Evan Bouchard, because they wonder after Cale Makar, there's not a ton of, great puck movers right now. Yeah. Maybe Canada looks and says, hey, we have enough offensive guys. We got to like Harley can move the puck when he plays well. I think coming in a tournament like this might be the thing that gets him back on track. And Drew Doughty moves the puck fine. Right. It's more so, Sanheim's decent at it, Parayko, okay. But, we'll see kind of where they go. They got at times overwhelmed by the U.S. in that final game. Not all the time, but obviously the other team's going to make good plays. To make no mistake about it. But yeah, like I'd be shocked if it isn't Canada and U.S. in the final. Sweden would be my one team that I think has a chance to get there. But the Finns, I don't think the Finns are deep enough. I know they always show up and they're super pesky and they play their ass off. I really respect it, but I don't think they're there. Czechia, I don't think. Now, in a one game or anything can happen, Rupper, but I'd be surprised if it's not Canada, U.S. in the final.
Yeah, I think most people would probably hope for that and maybe feel that same way. So, yeah, we'll see. I mean, these are funny tournaments sometimes because it gets late real quick. You drop a game and, I mean, geez, all of a sudden you sit there. I mean, Team Canada, Team USA, the way this goes too. I mean, if you have a rough first game, I mean, for both countries, you could be like, all right, are we switching goaltenders here? Do we not have the right goaltender going? I mean, Jordan Binnington, I would assume, is going to be the guy to get the start, but that could change real quick. And I think Connor Hellebuck would probably be the same conversation on the other side for Team USA. So that's once the tournament starts, it's all bets off, and it's going to be exciting. I can't wait for it. I really can't.
Well, Binnington starting to me would be a shock. He's been brutal. Let's call a spade here in St. Louis. And I know he played well last year, but that's a year ago. Like, I don't know if you can just say, hey, now here's the thing. USA, you look at their round robin. Like, they got the easiest pool. Good for them. They got Latvia, Denmark, and Germany in their pool, right? Like, USA opens up against Latvia, then they play Denmark, and then they play Germany. Canada opens up against Czechia, and then they play Switzerland and finish with France. And then you got Sweden, Finland, Italy, and Slovakia. That's probably the toughest bracket, to be honest. Slovakia, Sweden, and Finland together. So, we'll see kind of where it plays out. But Canada and USA should win their pools, and then we'll go from there. But I can't wait. We're, like I said, 40 days away from the start of the Olympics for the men's hockey program. And like the women's right now, I'll say this, Rupper, like the USA women are the massive favorite going in. They have spanked Canada here. When they were in Edmonton, it was not close in either two of those games that I saw. Team USA just looked younger and quicker. And I wonder if Canada, now they have some time from then to regroup, and they might have to consider, they got to get a little bit quicker on that team. Like, they have a bigger team, but it was a slower team. And, size matters when you can grind it out, but there's not as much grinding out and physical play. Now, the women's game still has physical play. Don't get me wrong. We might talk about that a little bit later on, because, man, was there a hellacious hit in the PWHL that we got to talk to. Obviously, it was a suspendable hit, but I look at like Canada, USA, and men's side is pretty even, but right now the US women are a big time favorite. Like they've been dominating Canada lately.
Maybe this is the the US in me, but it does it kind of the rivalry series. Yeah, it was pretty one sided with Team USA for the women's, but I also think from watching and the way. I mean, how many tournaments have we seen international play and both men and women's where the game before the medal game, US wins, and then Canada wins in the medal game of whatever, whether it's Four Nations, whether it's World Championships, wherever you want to go with it. That's what makes me kind of like, all right, well, just pump the brakes a little bit. Canada's Canada still. So, yeah, I mean, that's I love this. Is my favorite time too, because I always find that matchup is one of the great matchups. I love watching the women's Canada versus USA. It's so good. It's so good because we all know it's going to be them, and it always is those two, and they have such a rich history of battling it out. So I can't wait for that as well.
No, it's a heated rivalry. Like they definitely don't like each other. And I think, like, I do wonder if the PWHL, because now some of them are teammates, if that softens the rivalry a bit. But before it was a great rivalry because you didn't play together that much very often, right? Like, especially there was even when there was two leagues, not all the best were together. So there was still like a lot of real animosity, like not fabricated, not pretend, but like legit. And like even to the point where there's, like big rumors that have spread out that weren't true, like stepping on the jersey and stuff like that. That never really happened. It's like, it's a great folklore in women's hockey, of course. But the tournament's great. I do believe that the PWHL will help make the other countries close the gap, hopefully here. And eventually, and Finland's on the verge, but you need the best women in the world playing together. And then that's how the Finns and the Swedes, and that's how they'll get better, right? It's no different than, even on the men's side, right? It's allowed, the other countries to close the gap. Now, Canada's still the top dog, but it's not as dominant, as it's always been, right? I will say this though. I do think on the national men's side, like Canada and US. Now, obviously, we haven't seen Russia in a while, but the Russia's defense, I'm not sure that they would really compete. Their offense is great and their goaltendings are good, but their defense, meh. But it seems like Sweden and Finland on the men's side have fallen back a little bit from where they were 15 or 20 years ago competing against Canada.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Agree with that. I mean, it's they're always tough outs in those tournaments, but as far as talking talent level, I mean, it's still not quite to the level of Canada. I mean, you've still got players on these rosters for whether it's Sweden or Finland that are playing in this. They're playing in the Swedish Elite League, or they're playing in different leagues in Europe. So they're not even actually NHL players on a consistent basis. So you got a couple of those always sprinkled in. So I think that's all you need to know, because how deep would you have to go for that to happen for a North American team, whether it's USA or Canada? It wouldn't happen. So it's something that they're always tough. The European, they just play a certain style that makes them very difficult at that time. And Finland's the one that always jumps out to me, where you can sit there and look at the roster and be like, oh, this should go down. This team should be favored. And it doesn't necessarily happen that way. So, man, I'm excited for it. Can't wait to see it. It's going to be a lot of noise around the snubs, if you will, and what that means moving forward. But it's going to be a fun tournament. I can't wait.
Yeah, and they announced the Swedish national team got announced. Mattias Ekholm didn't make it. They went with Hedman, Karlsson, Forsling, Ekman Larsson, Rasmus Dahlin, Jonas Brodin, Rasmus Andersson, and Philip Broberg got in as these. So they wanted to add some youth on their back end. Markstrom, Gustafsson, and Wallstedt, both the goalies from the Wild, make it for Team Sweden. And then Pettersson, Raquel, Karlsson, Kempe, Raymond, Nylander, Jesper Bratt, Landeskog, Zibanejad, Philip Forsberg, Pontus Holmberg, Joel Eriksson Ek, Alexander Wenberg, and Elias Lindholm rounded out. And Team Finland, The Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen, Lankinen, and UC Saros are in goal. Heiskanen, Yoki Haru, Mikko Lehtinen, Esa Lindell, Oli Mata, Nicholas Mantampalo, Mikko Mikala, Rasmus Ristolainen on the back end, and then Aho, Armia, Granlund, Eric Halla, Rupe Hintz, Capo Caco, Oliver Kapanen, Joel Kiviranta, Arturi Lekkinen, Anton Lundell, Luosterainen, Rantanen, Teravainen, and Tolvanen make it. So no real surprises. I think the Ekholm one, although there was people in Sweden who thought that, age might be a factor there. And so I always, I think those guys will be disappointed, but I look at a team, Rupper, that if you're a Stanley Cup contending team like Edmonton, and you don't have Hyman and you don't have Bouchard, and you don't have Ekholm going, I think that actually benefits you because they played a ton of hockey. All right. You already got McDavid and you got Draisaitl going for Germany, but I think sometimes there could be a benefit for the team. Individually, the players will be disappointed, but from a team perspective, it's probably good, right? Like you look at Florida, Barkov obviously isn't going. He's back skating, but he's not going to go. And I just wonder do you think that the Olympics going to it has any sort of negative for a team that's going for a cup final?
100%. Yeah. Yeah, I do. I think even coming out of Four Nations last year, you had a lot of players that either A, were hurt and couldn't play the rest of the year for their respective club, or you even saw their game drop off. It was just, it was interesting that when the players came back, I mean, there was a stretch there where the players came back and they were scoring, but then over the next 15, 20 games, they just kind of weren't themselves. And the one that jumps out to me, Dylan Larkin kind of struggled once he got back to Detroit after Four Nations, and he was so good at Four Nations. And so you mentioned Edmonton. The one team I think that jumps out to me the most with this is probably, and I don't put them in the same category as Edmonton because Edmonton, I think, is a contender. This team is not, but who knows in the Eastern Conference what kind of run you can go on. It's the Rangers, because the Russian players, Shesterkin, you've got Gavrikov, you've got Panarin, obviously not going to the Olympics. So you've got those three players. Now you add in Adam Fox, your number one defenseman. If there's no injuries and he's not added, you have him. I don't know to what level, whether it's JT Miller and Vincent Trocheck, how much they're going to play, but I don't think they're going to be taxied a ton. Maybe one of them will be. So yeah, it's kind of the game inside the game. See what rosters maybe will be affected or not affected very much from this. But I certainly think it's something. It's something we saw after Four Nations. But at the end of the day, what are you going to do? It is what it is. It's great for the game. You're not going to tell players. Yeah. No, players are going to leave it all out there, and they'll be like, "Hey, if I have to come back with one arm, I'm going to play with one arm." But there is a concern, I think, for some teams, of course.
Yeah, McDavid was on After Hours just before New Year's, and he even said, he admitted that he was in a funk coming out of Four Nations. Took him a while emotionally. And he said, I'll take a 2-week funk for a gold medal again. And I get it, right? Like, I totally understand it. Like, he obviously recovered and was fine and played very well all the way to the Stanley Cup final. So, they can recover. But I think for teams like the Rangers, that's a very good point. A team that right now isn't in the playoffs. They're right in the mix, of course. Everybody in the Eastern Conference, it seems, is in the mix. Like, the worst team is Columbus, and they're only 6 points out of the final playoff spot. So, and they got games in hand against teams ahead of them. So it's wild. Now let's stick in the East, and we got to talk about it, man. The hottest team in the NHL. The Buffalo freaking Sabres have won 10 in a row, Rupper. They've outscored teams 35-18 in that stretch. And they got themselves right back in the hunt. Now, this is wild because in 2018, they also won 10 games in a row, but missed the playoffs. That can't happen again, can it? Like, they're not going to win 10 in a row and miss the playoffs again, are they?
I remember a few years ago, I think it may have been consecutive years, but it was probably 5 years ago or so. The Flyers, in one season, they won 10 in a row and they missed the playoffs. And then another year, they lost 10 in a row and made the playoffs. So, like, you would think that a team that's going on a run like this, they've got to get in, right? I'm always a little bit hesitant with the Buffalo Sabres, and they're awesome right now, man. Every night, and they're beating good teams. Like they're not just steamrolling nobodies. Like they're winning right now. So in pretty good fashion. So I don't know what to make of them. It's pretty cool to watch. It was funny because they were in the middle of I'm pretty sure they were already started this streak when Kevin Adams was let go.
Yes.
I think they were like 3 games in, and so now they got 7 in a row since the Yarmo's taken over. But it's impressive, man. It's impressive what they're doing, but we've kind of known that they're this explosive team. I don't know how long it lasts, if they're for real, but I think it's thrown a wrench into maybe some of the teams that are looking to make moves even before the deadline. Because I think at one point in the season, we thought, all right, St. Louis Blues, the Vancouver Canucks, Nashville Predators, chuck in there the Buffalo Sabres. Some of those teams have turned it around. Nashville's kind of in the hunt. Buffalo in the hunt. They're kind of out of the equation. We already saw some moves out of Vancouver. So I don't know what to make of it. We obviously know that the Alex Tuch contracts is going to be something to pay attention to, because where this team's at come trade deadline, what that means for him. But it's fun. It's fun to watch Buffalo win, and they are on fire right now.
Yeah. Well, and the only negative is that the Alex Lyon got banged up, but so that just means they're going with Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen, and they went into Dallas and they really kind of controlled the Stars in that game yesterday, 4-1. And so now they got Columbus. You look, there's 6 of their next 8 are at home. So they could keep, not going to say they're going to win all 8 of them, but they could win 6 of their next 8. Right. And that's a stretch of 16 of 18, man. Like that's really impressive. And they got a lot of guys
scary though when we think about them. So sorry, it's scary to see what they're doing right now, but it's also scary because we've seen this movie before. You just said it. And maybe this is starting to get to a different level. So maybe we haven't. Maybe they're doing something totally different. But as quickly as they can win 10 in a row, they're a team that could maybe not lose 10 in a row, but they could lose 8 of 10 very easily. We've seen that. So I think that's the thing that kind of gets me with them is, all right, like this is great, but we've seen too much of the other as well.
Yeah, no, and I think until they break that trend, and the only way to break that is to make the playoffs, Rapper. That's just how it is. Like you've missed the playoffs 14 years in a row. No one is, even the most diehard Sabres fan is going to be a little hesitant to be like, oh, like I'm sure they're loving it. And there's lots of reasons to be excited, right? Like when you can, they're not winning all their games in overtime or shootouts, right? They're getting really good goaltending, which is what you need. But I think that, the Alex Lyon injury for sure, but Pekka Luukkonen, he's won every game during the streak too that he's played. So you know what? Maybe he'll step up and continue. You hope the Lyon injury, but he's going to be out for a while. It's not like it's short term, unfortunately. So that's just bad news. But they're the team, and I've said this for weeks, man. They're the team that nobody really hates the Sabres because they've been bad for so long. You're kind of like, if you asked a lot of NHL fans, right, and say, you know what? Okay, like I'm a diehard fan of my team. Pick whatever team that you cheer for. But I kind of hope that Buffalo does okay because they've done no harm to anybody for so long that you kind of forget about when they were even good, right? So I think that's why there's not a lot of, we lost to Buffalo. Well, it's Buffalo. Okay, like kind of hope they'd win. Like if you're a fan of a team, you look and say, man, imagine being a fan of a team and miss the playoffs 14 freaking years in a row. Like you probably have some empathy, unless you're like maybe a diehard, old Adams division fan, like the Leafs or Habs or Bruins. Maybe they're like, well, screw that. But everybody else is like, I don't know. And then you look at the division, man, like, Tampa, I will say this though, Rupper, Tampa's coming. And you know why? Because Braden Point has woken up. They've been playing well without him, and suddenly Braden Point is now back to being a point-a-game guy over his last 10 games. He had I think he's got 3 or 4 goals in his last 3 games. Braden Point starting to wake up. That's a huge boost for the Lightning.
It is. And he was such a abnormal start to the season for Braden Point. That team has woken up in a lot of different ways. And then they went on this really nice run. Then they look to be coming back a little bit, but they just always punch back, and they're going to keep moving forward, I believe. But I think the Florida Panthers do as well. I don't know what to make about Toronto. Toronto's starting to move in the right direction, I think, taking little baby steps. But it seems like every time we think that, then they take a couple steps back. But I think with the emergence of Buffalo right now, a team that I have not been overly confident with all season long with their ability maybe to make the playoffs is the Montreal Canadiens. And that makes me even more nervous now. Now Buffalo is just another team in the mix there. So I don't know, for a team that was such a story last year, start off this season incredibly, I think you're starting to see, I mean, is it the cream rise to the top, whatever you want to call it? We're starting to see some of that happen here. And I still think there's going to be teams in this division, like the Ottawa Senators, are going to start the climb. They're going to start climb. Can Montreal continue to climb? I think some of these other teams are certainly have been and are going to continue. And that's where a team like Montreal and Buffalo are going to come to my mind, where are you going to be able to continue to climb? You can't just get this big push and be in the mix, like, and be 500 the rest of the way if you want to make it.
Oh, 100%, which leads me to a team, Rupper. Where are you on the Detroit Red Wings? Are you in on the Red Wings? Or the Red Wings a playoff team for you?
I think they are a playoff team. Yeah, they are a playoff team. I don't know if I would put them in a contender category because they can win this division. Now, do they? Do I think they will win the division? I do not. I think that making the playoffs is gigantic. And just as much as you just talked about Buffalo, I mean, this is an organization that they have to make the playoffs this year, I believe. And the way they've been playing, and you're 40 games in, 42 games in, and you're sitting there thinking, all right, well, now we've seen a good portion of this season now, and this team is sitting in first place. Mo Seider looks like he has found a different gear. They're loaded. They're loaded, and they're growing together. They are a playoff team. I think that they will have to show everybody what they can do when it gets to that point and down the stretch here, because I still think that they are very green. I wonder. I think a lot of times when you have a team that maybe hasn't made the playoffs for quite some time, that becomes like the goal, which it should. And then teams get into the playoffs, and almost feels like a sense of relief. All right, let's enjoy this. Like, it's hard to like keep on that gas and keep going. So we'll see what they do. They're going to finish top 3, I think, in this division. And after that, what they're able to do in the playoffs, I have no idea. But they certainly have a lot of talent on that hockey club.
And Detroit has really, Todd McClellan's doing a great job there as a head coach. I think, and it started right. I think he set the tone early, Rupper, when it was after their one game loss, one game, and he just came out and said, and I loved it. He didn't chastise. He just said, "Hey, you can't talk about being a winner. You have to play like a winner. Yeah. You have to show that it's not good enough." And so I give them credit. The players responded. The coach challenged him, and they've come out and they've been at the top of the division, as I mentioned. You know what? They'll be hard pressed, I think, to fend off Tampa Bay. But you know, Lucas Raymond, point a game guy. Alex DeBrincat, right around point a game. Dylan Larkin. Yeah. So their top guys are producing. Patrick Kane, when he's in there, is also right around the point a game. I think he's got 24, 25, and 27 games. Mo Seider on the back end, obviously 25 minutes a night. Edvinson they got some good defensemen there, some young guys after some bad evaluation years where they made some mistakes, I felt, on their back end evaluation. But, you know, John Gibson obviously kind of turned the corner after a slow start, and he's playing better. But yeah, I like the Wings, and, you know, I'll take Detroit and Tampa is like two teams that I'm very comfortable, I think, can make the playoffs in that division. Yeah. It's still hard for me to count out the Florida Panthers, right? Like the Florida Panthers are starting to come a little bit. And then after that, then you've got Montreal, you've got Buffalo, you got the Maple Leafs who, got a big win and much needed goals from Austin Matthews with a hat trick in their last game. And then like the Bruins, I don't know, like they had a big win in Edmonton, but Swayman played great in that game. Like the Bruins give up a ton, and I don't know, but they're right there. Like there's, what are we talking? 3-4 points that separates all these teams. So it is going to be a race, but I'm with you. I think Detroit and Tampa Bay are the two teams I'm most confident will be in the playoffs out of the Atlantic Division.
Yeah. So it's funny because you mentioned like there's some teams that I think have enough to grab their spot in the playoffs. In the way the East is this year, there's other teams that I think can make it with the proper help of other teams not taking that step. You understand what I'm saying? Like the Boston Bruins would fall under that category. for me, as far as like, I don't know if they have enough to grab a spot, but if one of these other teams is slipping, they can find themselves getting in, just like we saw Washington getting in 2 years ago with, their, what were they, negative 30 goal differential or whatever it was, something insane.
Yeah.
Like they did that year was because Pittsburgh couldn't punch their ticket and some other teams couldn't punch their ticket down the stretch. So that's something interesting. You mentioned the Florida Panthers. We'd be foolish to sleep on the Florida Panthers. And how about the fact that down there, Winter Classic, down in Miami, got Rangers, Panthers, doesn't mean much, but Sasha Barkov being on the ice, like just being on the ice right now, like not practicing,
Yeah.
doesn't look like he's working his way back. Just the fact that the man's standing up on the ice right now, it's kind of crazy to me. And I think that if this team continues to go in this direction and move up, I think we see him. I think we see him in the playoffs. I don't know. It's eerily quiet around the Barkov situation, and that people haven't ruled that out. I know at first they said he's done for the year, potentially be able to come back for like a Stanley Cup Finals, is if you mapped out like how long that time frame was. But I've also played with guys. I played with Evgeny Malkin, who I remember talking to team doctors when Gino had a torn ACL. They're like, this guy's like he's abnormal. We've never seen anything like it. Like the way that he's progressing is unheard of. Maybe Sasha Barkov is like that, but it was kind of nuts. If you saw that clip of him on the ice down there at the Winter Classic, getting on the ice with the boys, I'm like, don't count out this Florida Panthers team.
Yeah, no, that's true, man. Like he, now Kachuk's not playing in the outdoor classic, but he's getting close. He'll be back probably sometime in the next 2 weeks in Florida. But the thing about Florida is, Rupper, so today is when they get to the midway point of the season, they'll have played 26 home games and 15 road games. In the second half of the season, the Panthers have to play 26 out of 41 on the road. That is massive. On the opposite end, you've got Edmonton, who's played in their first 40 games, 24 on the road, 16 at home. It's funny. The two Stanley Cup finalists are complete opposite. And Edmonton doesn't have to go to the Eastern Conference anymore. They've done all of their road games. Like you played, Rupper, like that 26 out of 41 on the road, right? It matters a lot. Like that's they're going to have to go. They're going out west multiple times. And, it's 2-3 hour difference in the time zone. So that factors in. Like that to me is the biggest. Toronto's the same thing. They got a boatload of road games as well in the second half, and they've been a brutal road team. So that's why I look at Detroit and Tampa and I'm really comfortable with them. But after that, man, I do think schedule matters. And when you have that much of a disparity between home and away, that might be the difference.
And the only way it doesn't, or is not a difference in a negative way, is if you took advantage of that, and you have your home ice and you dominated during that stretch, and that hasn't necessarily been the case. But it matters. It matters not even just for the physical, but for the mental. There's just something about the road trips, man. There's something about, like, think about it from this standpoint. And I thought this is where it takes me about traveling in the NHL, where you travel well. We're taken care of very, very well, but you get in at different times, late times. You get home, the adrenaline's still running. You're not going to bed till maybe you fall asleep at 3 or 4 a.m. and you wake up at 9 a.m. to go back to the rink. You try to sleep in. It just mentally going through that, even though you might physically feel fine, the battle is between the ears. You're like, wow, man, we got back late last night. Like I didn't sleep much. Or you start adding those things up over time, though, what the travel means. It's like you got this mind game of you're basically telling yourself you're tired. And you could very easily say, and John Tortorella was the king of this, he'd always say, you are not tired. You are not, don't believe what people say. Like, because we're going to sit here and talk about teams being on the road and how grueling the schedule is. And he'd say, basically, don't let that into your minds, because it's a slippery slope, but teams have to deal with it. It is a real thing. It's a real thing physically, but I even think the mental side of it is even more of a struggle.
Well, I'm going to give you Florida. So they're playing, in Florida today, the Outdoor Classic. Then they play on Sunday at home. So starting Sunday, Rupper, for the rest of the month, they play 14 games in 14 different cities. So they play in Florida, then in Toronto, Montreal, Ottawa, Buffalo, Carolina, Washington, Florida for a game, into Winnipeg, Minnesota, Chicago, Florida for a game, in St. Louis, back in Florida. That's their month of so up until then they get into February and they have 2 home games and then Tampa before they go to the break. But 14 straight games, 14 different cities, Rupper, that is taxing. It's mentally taxing. Now, doesn't mean they can't play well, but they didn't take advantage of their favorable schedule early on in the season. Yeah. And so we'll see if it comes back to haunt them or not. Now, one team, Rupper, before we get to Pat Puff, when we talked about Buffalo, they've won 10 in a row. So the Colorado Avalanche, all they do is keep freaking winning. Like 3 weeks ago, oh, wow, they're on pace for 136 points. Now they're on pace for 141, for God's sakes. They've won 9 in a row, right? They're plus 22 outscoring teams in that stretch. Like, they've lost twice in regulation all year long. Like, it's ridiculous how good this Avs team is. And now I know that people will say Tampa and Boston. I understand it. They had the 60 plus wins and got them a first round exit both times. But and this Colorado team's built different, man. And they look really good. They've shown no signs of slowing down. You've got McKinnon and McDavid battling it out for the Art Ross at 70 points. Cale Makar's playing great. Blackwood, Wedgwood, both in goal. Like, there's not a lot of weaknesses. Like, that McKinnon line is the best line in hockey with Marty Necas and Lehkonen, no question. There's not even close. And I'll say this, I'm going to put it out there right now. You know who should be getting serious Selke Trophy consideration is Nathan McKinnon. Go look at his numbers, dude. He's been on the ice he's been on the ice for 14 goals against. Playing that many minutes.
Wow.
And out shooting and by the way, he's been on the ice for, I think it's 57 goals for 5-on-5. Like, are you joking? Like, when you look at numbers, and I know that sometimes the great offensive players can never, but I'm like, hey, what's the best way to play defense? By never having to play defense. And that's what he's doing. Like, it's pretty damn impressive.
That is impressive. Those are impressive numbers. And I think a lot of it that probably won't serve him well in like a Selke voting, but it maybe should, just because it looks different. And he might be defending well because they've got the puck all the time. But that's still good defense, right? Like, that's good. You're controlling the flow. The game flow is severely in Colorado's favor, no matter who's on the ice, but especially when Nathan McKinnon's out there. Here's 2 stats here that jump out to me because I always go to, and I mentioned it on here before, I always go to regulation wins and goal differential tell me a lot about a team, especially once you got into the midway point of the season and then from there on out. So the goal differential, you can pay attention to. I mean, plus 71. What else do you need to say? You're plus 71 midway through the season. I mean, that's pretty impressive. But this is the one that gets me. It's we get the record and the 2 regulation losses. But this is the regulation wins, because I think that is an area that gives false sense of whatever for certain teams, is that you've got a lot of teams in the East and the West that are in the hunt and they don't have a lot of regulation wins. And for me, that's winning outright. That's playoff hockey. That's not relying on 3-on-3 overtime hockey or not relying on the shootout, which at the end of the day, it's the name of the business and you got to win those. So that shouldn't be a negative for you. But if you're trying to figure out who's who, that's a big tell. And Colorado has 27 regulation wins. Okay. Comparatively speaking, let's go to the top of each division across the league. Regulation wins and the top of the Atlantic Division. Hold on, what do we got here? Let me try this again. All right, here we go. So we'll go Atlantic Division regulation wins 17 for Detroit. You've got 10 more regulation wins in the Detroit Red Wings. Go to the Carolina Hurricanes. They've got regulation wins 15, 12 more than them. I mean, it's even go to the Dallas Stars. They're the only team that we consider to be in the same ballpark as the Colorado Avalanche, and they only have 21. So there's 6 more than them. I mean, it's kind of crazy when you start going across it that way. Like, this isn't, I don't know if anybody's saying it's smoke. No one's saying smoke and mirrors, but when you talk about dominance, like, they are dominating every statistical category.
Yes.
They might dominate the awards categories. as individual awards. And then you start looking at some of these other things, goal differential plus 71, and just absolutely slaughtering everybody in regulation wins. Like, this team's for real.
Yeah, they have 6 more regulation wins than the Stars. They're 10 points up, and they have 2 games in hand. So, yeah, they are really good. I will say this, though, Rupp, we're going to say it right now. If the San Jose Sharks, who are currently in the first wild card spot, if they make the playoffs, Macklin Celebrini will win the Hart over McKinnon and McDavid.
I've been shouting that. I've been shouting that all season long. I'm glad you're saying that, because I agree, and people should pay attention to that. And you may actually, the caveat of it maybe should not be that they have to make the playoffs. Like, what we're seeing from Celebrini, if they miss by a point, you still have that conversation. That is a true conversation. And what he's doing right now, he has been. It's the reason for the award, the name, the definition of the Hart Trophy is what Macklin Celebrini's doing right now. So unless this team falls off, he's my guy. After that, I'd probably go Nathan McKinnon.
Here's the crazy stat for Macklin Celebrini. Macklin Celebrini has more points than the second and third scorers on San Jose combined. He's got 62 points. Will Smith and Tivoli have 55 between the two of them. That's how good he's been. Like, are you freaking kidding me? Like, it is. And at Bet365, Macklin Celebrini plus 1,600. Might have to put down some shekels on that right now. You kidding me? Like, come on. That is.
Yeah, but I think that the kicker here, though, is that maybe that's why the numbers are reflecting that too, because I think a lot of people probably think that San Jose has to make the playoffs in order for that to happen. And I still think it might be a stretch for them to make the playoffs. So they're in the mix. They've had playoff positioning, but I just think as the season goes along, we're going to see some other teams climbing. And I don't know if they've got enough in there, but to your point, if they do get in, that guy's your MVP. I'm sorry.
Yeah, very true. Let's bring in Pat Puff to the pod. Patty, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, guys. Yeah, we'll start with fill in the blank. First of the year, brought to you by Bet365. Whatever your bet is, it's never ordinary. Bet365. Download the app, get in on the game. Use code NATION. Bet365 must be 19 or older. I want to jump back quickly into the the Olympic roster announcements. Now, I'm not asking you guys to choose who's going to win. I'm not asking you guys to choose which has the better roster, but I'm curious which staff made the least amount of mistakes in their roster construction. So who do you think, didn't leave off someone that should have stayed on? Who constructed their team better with the options that they had? Let's start with Greg's.
That's a good question. Like the Jason Robertson one really stands out to me as an odd one. Like, so as much as I like Sam Bennett, I'm like, okay, well, they got Tom Wilson. Tom Wilson has more goals and, can play just as robust style and has played more international games. The rules are different. So, I can get it. So I guess I would say the Robertson one is the question mark for me. So that'd probably be the biggest question mark. So I guess I'll have to put them.
Yeah. I mean, I just think I don't think the Canadians could have gone wrong. I mean, they have more options. As much as us Americans want to say that, man, that's a different time now. Like, we could build a hockey team where you used to just pick the best players. The U.S. used to do that over the years, and it was just never. It wasn't. You weren't coming from the same pool of players. And as much as we want to say that that's changed, it's gotten closer, but it's still like, you look at the build out of these two teams. Like, after the core guys for Team Canada, I mean, you could argue who's should be on, shouldn't be on, but you could extend that. You could go Team 2 Canada and have a pretty damn good looking squad. So I think that they have done the best job of, I guess, keeping it on the tracks. I mean, they didn't mess anything up. It was probably pretty hard for them to do that. So I love what they did. I think USA has a little more question marks in regards to their roster going into the Olympics.
Yeah, and then quick sidebar on that with you announcing Wallstedt and Gustafsson making Team Sweden and Hellebuck kind of not having a season, and with the injury, like, does US still have the best goaltending in the tournament? What do you think?
I thought for Four Nations, Sweden's goaltending was one of the more non-spoken about goaltending groups. I mean, what you had Markstrom, Allmark, and Gustafsson. Was that it? Was that it for Four Nations? I believe.
Yeah.
Pretty potent group. So, yeah, I mean, I don't think a lot of those guys have had phenomenal seasons. I mean, Gustafsson had his moments where he was not great this year, but Markstrom's kind of been up and down. Allmark's been a little bit up and down. So yeah, I still think US has an advantage there. I think US has the higher ceiling of goaltenders because you got Hellebuck, who won the Hart Trophy, back-to-back Vezinas. I think Jake Ottinger might actually be a better goalie. And then you've got the guy who I just think can have a little bit of Bennington-esque in him, and Jeremy Swayman. So I don't think he's as good as those other two goaltenders, but if you're talking about getting hot for a period of time, Jeremy Swayman can get that. So I still think USA has the deeper goalie group.
Fair enough. Greg's, you got input on that, or we want me to go to the next one?
No, I'll go to the next one. Yeah, there's not much I can add.
Fair. It's on the same line as goalies too, because I mean, we check on this every couple episodes, but looking at the Vezina Trophy, I mean, like I said, Hellebuck's kind of fallen off with the injury and the state of the Jets right now. Obviously, Logan Thompson's having a season, but even at plus 165 on Bet365, there's still some juice there for Logan Thompson. But the big one for me, looking at Andre Vasilevsky, you mentioned it earlier in the year, Greg's like he's 9-14 right now. I think that the Lightning could possibly win their division, and if they do so, Vasilevsky's going to be right there at plus 1200. I guess I just want to revamp. Who are you guys taking for Vezina right now?
Well, Sorokin's been unbelievable. You look at the environment he's faced, I think it's one of the toughest ones. So I think it's him or Vasilevsky. I think the fact that, the Islanders have kind of faced their first adversity here. They've hit the skids a little bit. And so you wonder, like, if your goalie's just getting a barrage of shots, even the greatest goalie eventually is going to let some in. So I still like Vasilevsky because I think Tampa Bay is going to have a much better second half with Braden Point going. Rupper outlined it earlier about the rest for him. Like, he gets a 3-week break. That's massive for that guy. So, and I just think the Islanders they're showing a little bit of cracks there, maybe. So we'll see. But I still like Vasilevsky.
Yeah, I mean, I know the odds-on favorite Logan Thompson. I think that what he's done and what he sometimes is asked to do is pretty impressive. So I still kind of leaning towards him. The Sorokin one's really interesting because I think this injury has been a little more than what the New York Islanders thought originally with him. So I think a lot is going to depend on where he is at. Is he able to come back here? David Riddick has been very good filling in for the Islanders, but that team was built around Ilya Sorokin. So I would probably want to go Sorokin, but I'm a little uncertain because of his injury. I'm going to go Logan Thompson with the easy one here.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And moving on to the standings, I mean, the East is still kind of a wild card. There's going to be a lot of movement there as far as the standings go and winning of divisions. But looking at the West, I'm looking at these top 6: Colorado, Dallas, Minnesota, Edmonton, Vegas, Anaheim. And I'm curious, is there a team on here that you don't see making, I'm not so much making the playoffs because wild card is still there, but in the top 6, top 3 of each division, is there a team here that doesn't belong, or is this pretty much locked in, Greg's?
Oh no, the Central to me is locked in. Now in the Pacific, the Anaheim Ducks they're starting to waver, and God, the San Jose Sharks, man, like they're kind of built similar, right? Like, they're young. The Ducks, I think, have more spread out across the board skill in their top 6 than San Jose does. I do like Dostal, but his injury definitely, I think, was impacting the Ducks for sure for some time. Askarov in San Jose is pretty good. So I I don't think Anaheim's a lock at all. I think LA's right there with them still, and I think San Jose's there. But Edmonton and Vegas should make. I'm going to say this though, guys: the Vegas Golden Knights, man, do they miss Pietrangelo and Haig on the back end? Like I had said at the start of the year, I thought that trading a big defenseman for a top forward, it's a trade that you never win. And Mitch Marner's a good player, but he's not going to impact the game like Pietrangelo did. And I think the Nicholas Haig, they miss him more than Vegas expected because they're giving up a ton and they don't look good right now at all. So I still think they can make the playoffs, but they haven't. I think they have only like 12 Rupp or talk. I think Vegas has 12 or 13 regulation wins. That's it this year. So, they need Jack Eichel back. That will help them. But Vegas's blue line, I think they got to upgrade between now and the trade deadline.
I do too. Yeah. They certainly aren't the same group back there. And that's what's allowed them, that big defensive group that they have that's so difficult to get to the net has really allowed their goaltending to thrive over the last number of years. And that's not the case now. So, they're a little bit of a question mark with them. But I do, Patty, I see this playing out the way you have it on screen here because the Anaheim Ducks would be that one vulnerable one for me. Maybe I'll even throw Vegas in there as far as maybe moving out of the top three in the Pacific. But then that makes me have to pick a team that I believe is going to move up. And I just think that the Anaheim Ducks, for an example, they have enough talent. They will score their way out of games sometimes where the team that's chasing the LA Kings, I don't think have that luxury. So the Kings are a team I just don't know. They might be a playoff team, but it might have to be via the wild card or another route because I just kind of think what we're seeing on our screen right there, that's going to be how this regular season finishes in each of those divisions.
Yeah, the Pacific's been struggling a little bit. I mean, Oilers are 6-4-0 in their last 10, but Vegas 3-4-3 and Anaheim 2-6-2. So there is definitely some room for movement there. But I agree. I kind of think this is where it's going to end up because, Anaheim would be maybe the one that could move out. But that's all I got for you guys today with Fill in the Blanks brought to you by Bet365.
Awesome. Rupper, quickly on a few things. The Art Ross. It's looking like a great race, right? McKinnon and McDavid, they've kind of split themselves. Now, Macklin Celebrini's third with 62 points, but, I don't think he's going to catch them. Who do you like right now today? We're pretty much at the halfway point. 40 games in, 70 points each. They're both going to the Olympics. They're both playing on the same team. Who's going to win the Art Ross? McDavid or McKinnon?
So this is where it gets kind of funny because I'll give you the name and then I'll go back. Connor McDavid. And I'll say this. This is where I feel like we want different feels and different storylines. And sometimes I feel like people push it into existence when it's not really there. And what I mean by that is there's been a conversation for years, a number of years now. Who is the best player in hockey? Is it Connor McDavid, Nathan McKinnon? I think most have agreed, and the players really vote on this year to year, whether it's the PA poll or whatever. It's Connor McDavid, and then you have these runs that Nathan McKinnon goes on. You're like, oh, well, maybe he's the best player right now, and it's great fodder. But I still think Connor McDavid exceptionally is the best. There's a gap still, and I'll say it from this standpoint. Look at this season, what we've done so far. I mean, Nathan McKinnon is all world all season long. And we're like, this guy's the, the Hart Trophy winner. What he's doing right now is absolutely incredible. This team's going to set records, blah, blah, blah. What has been the narrative up to this point for the most part? Connor McDavid had a decent stretch where it was like, he doesn't really look like himself. He's not quite there yet. Certainly he's changed that. He's been absolutely on fire, and he looks to be like Connor McDavid again. So I guess that's my point is when we look back at what this season has been so far, has there ever been a moment where Nathan McKinnon has kind of struggled? No. We're like, this guy's all world. But we have had a good stretch where Connor looks to be human. And it brings us back to this point where they're both at 70 points. You understand what I'm saying? Like Connor is still just that. He's that dynamic, that impactful that he can be having a subpar season in regards some areas of his game, for good long stretches and still be at the level of a guy that we've placed on a different galaxy. So Connor McDavid, to me, I think is going to take off this second half. I hope both these guys, I mean, they're probably going to go toe-to-toe this entire way. But I still think when you're asking about the best player in hockey, and that wasn't your question here, it's still very clear to me that's Connor McDavid.
Okay. And that's fair. I'll say this, like, McKinnon's never won an Art Ross. And I think that's a big motivation for sure. Players will say it doesn't matter. And don't kid yourself. McDavid wants to win another one too, Rupper, because when you go down in the greats of the greats, right, you're talking entering categories that only Lemieux and Gretzky have done when it comes to Art Ross. Like, McDavid's going to get his 9th 100-point season, which will put him 3rd all time, 1 ahead of Marcel Dion, 1 back of Lemieux, 6 back of Gretzky, which means he still probably has a chance to do that considering his age. But I do think that there's people will say, oh yeah, the awards don't matter to players. Bull crap. Yeah. 2 things can happen. You can want to win a cup. You want it desperately, but guess what? Winning the Art Ross doesn't mean you won't win a cup. Winning the Hart Trophy doesn't mean you won't win a cup, and it doesn't guarantee you win a cup. You can want both at the same time because there are different reasons. You can win the Art Ross and the Hart in the regular season. You can only win a cup in the playoffs. It's just a fact. And I think for a guy like McKinnon, who's never won an Art Ross, I think that would be something that he would like to get. And it's going to be a great race for the Art Ross. I think the Hart Trophy, Celebrini is definitely in the mix as San Jose sticks around, and it should be a lot of fun. Rupper, enjoy the weekend. Enjoy the watching the Outdoor Classic, the Rangers in Florida. We'll see how it goes. Hopefully the ice holds in 62 degrees. And it should be unique. It looked like a great venue. So I kind of like it that they're get outside the box, and it'll be fun for those fans that go there. So have yourself a great weekend, and we'll talk to you again next week. That's the rundown brought to you by Bet365.
Hey, hockey fans, if you enjoyed that video, then make sure you hit the subscribe button right here on the Daily Faceoff YouTube. We have you covered for everything you need. Exclusive interviews on The Sheet with Jeff Merrick, all the latest hockey news on Daily Faceoff Live, and you can always get your morning started with Johnny Lazarus and Colby Cohn on Morning Cup of Hockey. Don't miss a minute. Hit that subscribe button.